One kiss saved Amelia's life, but it also exposed the darkest secret about her marriage. Can she trust her husband, or has her whole life been a lie? In the city's wealthiest neighborhood lived Amelia, the only daughter of a powerful man. On the outside, she and her husband Chinedu were admired, called the power couple, with money, respect, and influence. But behind the mansion walls, Amelia felt something was wrong. Chinedu was always busy, always making excuses. Meetings, trips, calls he never explained. At first, Amelia believed him. But the lies grew, and so did her doubts. Dennis wasn't just a driver. Years ago, Amelia's late father saved his family during their darkest hour. From that day, Dennis vowed loyalty to the Henry family. Even after Mr. Henry's death, Dennis stayed, not for money, but to protect Amelia. What Amelia didn't know was that Dennis had seen things. He had driven Chinedu to places that were no offices at all. He had heard whispers no husband should ever say, except to his wife. But it wasn't Amelia on the other end of those calls. If you believe betrayal should never be excused, hit the like button now, because only cheaters and liars won't. One morning, Amelia found something strange in Chinedu's papers. A hotel guest card dated just 2 days ago. Another meeting? Her chest tightened. Her father once told her, "Trust people, but confirm." That advice echoed louder than ever. Dennis heard something else clearly. Chinedu's plan was deeper than infidelity. He whispered about gaining full access to Amelia's accounts. Dennis gripped the steering wheel, his loyalty battling against his silence. Amelia tried to bury herself in work, but her mind was restless. Her father's words echoed in her ears like a warning bell. That same day, she opened some of her father's old files and saw something she could not ignore. Properties once listed as not for sale had been quietly transferred. Chinedu had never mentioned it. Her hands trembled as she closed the file. At the same time, Dennis was noticing patterns. He drove Chinedu to banks, hotels, and apartments that had nothing to do with business. On one of those trips, while waiting inside the car, Dennis overheard Chinedu speaking softly on the phone. His voice was tender, almost romantic, but the words were not meant for Amelia. "Don't worry," Chinedu whispered. "Everything is moving well. Soon I'll have full access to her accounts. Trust me." Dennis's grip on the steering wheel tightened. He wanted to warn Amelia immediately, but how could he? To her, he was just a driver. Would she even believe him? Back at the mansion, Amelia's suspicions deepened. She found the hotel card tucked inside her husband's newspaper. She stared at it, her chest tightening. The date was recent. Was this business? Or something darker? That night, Chinedu returned home cheerful, acting as though everything was normal. He laughed through dinner, charming and confident. But Amelia was not fooled. Something inside her told her the cracks in their perfect life were about to break wide open. The following morning, Chinedu left early again, briefcase in hand, his voice warm with practiced charm. "Don't wait up for me, baby," he said, kissing Amelia's cheek. Dennis opened the car door silently, his face unreadable, but his thoughts racing. Dennis was more than a uniform behind the wheel. He was young, intelligent, a graduate with a first-class degree. Life had once promised him a future, but circumstance pushed him into service. Yet through it all, he never forgot the vow he made when Amelia's father saved his family: protect the Henrys at all costs. Later that week, after dropping Chinedu off at another so-called meeting, Dennis returned to the mansion. He found Amelia in the study, her eyes red, her shoulders heavy. For a moment, he hesitated. Should he keep silent, or should he finally speak? His heart urged him forward. Before he could stop himself, Dennis stepped closer and kissed her. Amelia froze in shock, then pushed him back, furious. "Dennis! How dare you?" she shouted. "You're a driver. Do you want me to disgrace you before my husband?" "I'm sorry, madam," Dennis said quickly. His voice was desperate, urgent. "It wasn't disrespect. It was the only way I could make you hear me." "Hear you about what?" she demanded. Dennis took a breath, his voice shaking but steady. "I've seen him. I've driven him to hotels. He is not going for business. He is going with a woman. And it's worse, madam. I've overheard things about your accounts, about your father's businesses. He is hiding things. He is planning something far darker." Amelia's face went pale. Her father's files, the hotel card, the strange transfers, it all collided with Dennis's words. She wanted to dismiss him, but the unease inside her grew heavier. If you believe women like Amelia should never be left alone in the dark, hit subscribe right now. Only those who side with liars and manipulators will ignore this. She trembled with anger and fear. "If you're lying, Dennis, I swear I will destroy you." "It's not a lie, madam," he replied. "I have no reason to lie, and I will prove it." The air between them was heavy. Amelia stared at Dennis for a long moment. She saw not just a driver, but a man carrying truths she had been too afraid to face. That night, she hardly slept. When morning came, Chinedu smiled across the breakfast table, telling her to stop worrying, to let him handle everything. But Amelia remembered her father's voice. Trust people, but confirm. And now, with Dennis's words echoing in her mind, she knew she needed proof. Days passed, and Amelia could no longer ignore the signs. Chinedu's absences grew longer, his stories thinner. One morning, while she sat in the living room, she made a deliberate move. She pretended to be on the phone with her late father's old accountant. Her voice carried just enough for Chinedu to overhear as he came down the stairs. "Yes," she said loudly. "Those private accounts and shares Daddy left in my name. Yes, I still have the documents. I just need to decide what to do with them." Chinedu froze on the staircase, his eyes suddenly sharp, hungry. Amelia hung up casually as if nothing had happened, but when she turned, he was smiling too brightly. "My love," he said warmly. "Private accounts? Shares? You've never told me about those." "Oh, I must have forgotten," she answered calmly, though inside her heart pounded. That afternoon, Amelia pretended to nap on the sofa. Chinedu, thinking she was asleep, slipped to the balcony with his phone. His voice was low, confident, dripping with greed. "Yes, it's true. She told me today. 5 million in that account, hidden shares too. We take everything. Slowly, carefully. She won't notice until it's too late. By next month, it's all ours." Amelia's heart thudded, but the next words nearly broke her. "If she causes trouble, we make it look like an accident, a slip in the pool, a heart attack. Believe me, no one will question it. Once she's gone, everything comes to me, and we'll finally live our dream life together." Her blood ran cold. She wanted to scream, but she forced herself still. She needed proof, undeniable proof. Without it, no one would believe her. Later, she called Dennis to the study. Her voice was low but steady. "I heard everything. He's planning to take my father's wealth. And worse, he's planning to take my life." Dennis clenched his fists, his face hard. "Madam, what do you want me to do?" You will watch him. Follow him when he leaves. Record his visits, gather anything, documents, bank slips, messages. Do not tell anyone. Bring everything to me. Yes, madam, Dennis said firmly. I will watch him. If you believe women like Amelia deserve justice, comment right now. Justice for Amelia. Let the world know you stand on the side of truth, not betrayal. 2 days later, Amelia insisted on following Dennis to one of the apartments she suspected. Belinda, Chinedu's mistress, lived there. Dennis picked the lock, and inside Amelia's heart sank. On the dresser lay the exact necklace Chinedu had given her on their wedding anniversary. Next to it, the wristwatch he had gifted her on her birthday. Around the room were handbags, shoes, jewelry, all duplicates of the gifts he once placed lovingly in her hands. Amelia sank onto the bed, tears spilling. I was blind. He fooled me all along. Dennis knelt beside her, steady and calm. Don't blame yourself, madam. Sometimes love blinds us. Your father trusted me to watch, and now I see clearly. He is not worthy of you. Amelia wiped her tears. Since he thinks I am a fool, I will show him what a fool can do. We will gather proof. We will end this. If you cannot stand men who betray their wives while planning their downfall, hit subscribe now. Only manipulators and deceivers would refuse. That night, Amelia lay awake beside Chinedu, who snored softly, oblivious. But in her mind, she crafted a plan. By morning, her resolve was clear. She would not only survive, she would fight. The next morning, Amelia sat across from Chinedu at breakfast, her face calm but her mind sharp. She looked at him and spoke softly. I've been thinking about Daddy's private accounts. Maybe I should let you handle them. You know business better than me. Chinedu paused mid-bite. For a moment his mask slipped. Then he smiled broadly. My love, that is very wise. Leave it to me. I'll take care of everything. Amelia forced a small smile, but hidden in her pocket was a tiny recorder Dennis had given her that morning. Every word her husband spoke was now being captured. That evening, Amelia pretended to stroll through the garden while Chinedu settled into the study. She slipped quietly into the hallway above, close enough to hear but hidden from view. Chinedu's voice floated up through the silence. Yes, Belinda, it's true, he said with a laugh. She finally trusts me with the account details. The fool thinks I love her. Soon all the money will be ours. 5 million and the shares. She won't even know until it's too late. There was a pause. Then Belinda's faint voice replied. Chinedu chuckled darkly. Love her? No, never. I only married Amelia because she's rich and easy to control. She was just my ticket into her father's empire. Amelia's hand gripped the banister so tightly her knuckles turned white. She fought back tears, forcing herself to stay quiet. She needed every word on tape. Chinedu laughed again, his tone sweet but poisonous. Once the transfer is complete, we vanish. Let her cry, let her beg. I don't care. She'll be nothing. You, Belinda, you're the one I truly love. Amelia closed her eyes, her chest heaving, but she waited until he hung up. Then she slipped back to her room and shut the door. Her hands shook as she pulled out the recorder. Every lie, every betrayal, every confession was sealed inside. She whispered to herself, Now I have the truth. If you believe greedy manipulators like Chinedu deserve to be exposed, hit the like button right now. Only scammers and liars won't. The next morning, Amelia met Dennis in the study. She placed the recorder on the desk between them. It's all here, she said firmly. Every word he spoke. his betrayal, his plan, even his threats. This time, he cannot escape. Dennis bowed his head. Madam, with this evidence, justice will be yours. Amelia's eyes glistened, but her voice was strong. No, Dennis. Justice will be my father's as well. Chinedu betrayed his trust, his name, his legacy. That ends today. That afternoon, Chinedu sat at his desk in the study, phone pressed to his ear, rubbing his hands together with excitement. Yes, proceed with the transfer. The accounts and the shares, all of it. No delays. His laughter filled the room. Amelia stepped in quietly, her face calm. Work for us, Chinedu? She asked coldly. He jumped, then smiled. Yes, my love, everything I do is for us. She slipped the recorder onto the desk and pressed play. Chinedu's own voice filled the air. I only married Amelia because she's rich, easy to control. Once the money is in my hands, we disappear. Let her cry. She'll be nothing. The blood drained from Chinedu's face. He stumbled back. Amelia, it's not what it sounds like. I can explain. She cut him off, her eyes blazing. Save your lies for the judge. You thought I was blind. You thought I was weak. But now, the world will see who you really are. At that moment, the door burst open. Officers stepped inside, Dennis behind them. Chinedu Henry, the lead officer declared, you are under arrest for fraud, theft, and conspiracy to commit murder. Chinedu's face twisted with panic. No, Amelia, please, don't do this. I love you. Tears glistened in her eyes, but her voice was steady. You don't love me. You love greed. And now, you'll live with the consequences. As the officers handcuffed him, Chinedu screamed her name, begging, pleading. But Amelia turned her face away. His betrayal was too deep. His words too cruel. If you think traitors like Chinedu deserve punishment, comment right now. Justice must be served. The news spread like wildfire. The once celebrated power couple was shattered, and Chinedu's smiling face no longer appeared on magazine covers. Instead, it flashed across the evening news, his hands cuffed, his crimes exposed for the world to see. Court hearings followed. Amelia sat silently in the front row, her hands clasped, her heart steady. The recordings, the documents Dennis had gathered, and the bank trails, all of it was undeniable. The judge's gavel came down hard. Chinedu Henry, you are hereby sentenced for fraud, theft, and conspiracy to commit murder. The courtroom murmured with shock, but Amelia did not flinch. She did not cry. She only released a long, steady breath. The man she had once trusted with her life now faced the punishment his greed had earned. Soon after, the divorce was finalized. Amelia's accounts were secured, her father's properties restored, her name cleared. She walked out of the courthouse with Dennis by her side. For the first time in years, the air felt lighter. She whispered to herself, I am free. If you believe betrayal should never win, hit subscribe right now. Only the greedy and the faithless will ignore this. Back at her company, Amelia called a board meeting. She stood in the office her father once ruled, her voice calm but firm. From this day forward, transparency will be our rule. Loyalty will be honored. She turned to Dennis, who stood quietly near the door, still in his driver's uniform. Dennis, she said softly, you stood by me when no one else did. You saw the truth before I could. From today, you are no longer my driver. You will serve as my personal aide. Dennis blinked in shock. Madam, me? I don't deserve. You are more than worthy, Amelia interrupted. My father trusted you, and I trust you. That is enough." Applause filled the room as Dennis bowed his head, humbled and speechless. Weeks turned into months, and Amelia began to heal. The memories of betrayal still stung, but she refused to let them define her. Instead, she poured her energy into something greater. She launched the Henry Foundation, a charity in her father's name, to support widows, orphans, and struggling students. At the opening ceremony, Amelia stood before the crowd. "My father taught me that wealth is not about what we keep, but what we give. Today, we carry his vision forward." The applause that followed was warm, genuine, alive. For the first time in months, Amelia smiled without forcing it. If you believe people like Amelia deserve to rise after betrayal, smash that like button now. Only haters and manipulators will scroll past. Through it all, Dennis remained at her side. No longer just a driver, he became her aide, her confidant, her steady hand when the weight of leadership pressed down. He organized her meetings, screened her calls, and kept her company records sharp. Board members who once overlooked him now respected him. And in quiet moments, when Amelia looked at him, she no longer saw just loyalty. She saw someone who had carried her through fire. Behind prison walls, Chinedu sat on a cold bench, his head buried in his hands. The door creaked open and Belinda walked in, her heels clicking against the concrete floor. For a moment his face lit up with hope. "Belinda, you came," he said, reaching for her hand. But she pulled back coldly. "Don't get excited. I didn't come for love. I came to tell you it's over." Chinedu's eyes widened. "What? After everything I did for you?" She laughed bitterly. "No, Chinedu. After everything you destroyed for me. You have nothing now. No money, no power. You can't give me the life I want. I won't waste my time waiting for you. Goodbye." She turned and walked out, her perfume fading with the slam of the door. Chinedu sat frozen, the truth crashing over him. The wife he betrayed had risen stronger. The mistress he chased had abandoned him. And in the end, he was left with nothing but his greed. Meanwhile, Amelia stood on the balcony of her mansion, the night wind brushing against her face. Below, the city lights stretched endlessly, alive with motion. Her heart still carried scars, but it also carried strength. Inside, Dennis finished arranging her files for the next day. Then he stepped out quietly, ever ready, ever loyal. Amelia placed her hand on the railing and whispered, "Daddy, I kept my promise. I protected what you left." Her eyes softened as she thought of Dennis. Once just a driver, now the one person she could trust completely. The past was behind her. The future was hers to write. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'll be giving a shout out to some of you in our next video.